For me, it was just, completely wonderful to get to step into a role that, as a queer person, isn't a coming out story, isn't the story where the queer person is the gay best friend or the funny sidekick that comes in for a few minutes, or the character that dies at the end of the film, or the character that is brutalized or traumatized. And for me, that felt like a really important story to tell, and also a really joyous story to get to tell from this perspective.
Hey there, it's Kristen, and today we're speaking with Max Harwood, Lauren Patel, and Jonathan Butterell around Everybody's Talking About Jamie, a movie adaptation of the joyous musical that celebrates the art of drag and being yourself. Jonathan, you've worked on the West End, on Broadway, off Broadway, and you even directed the original Everybody's Talking About Jamie musical. This is getting into your directorial film debut now. So what is it like to take this musical that you've already directed on stage and transfer that to the screen?
Exhilarating. Completely and utterly exhilarating. They're two different mediums, theatre and cinema. They do very different things. But what I loved about what cinema can give you is scope, scale. I could have those big wides in which I showed the world. I could find those wides in which I show amazing dance routines. I could get really up close and step right into the heart and the soul of a person. And I could let my imagination fly, because at the heart of many of these songs is Jamie's imagination taking flight and him being his full fabulous pop star self, and it allowed all those things to come out. I loved every second of it.
Were there any things that were maybe different or that you changed, or any new additions like This Is Me that maybe you can tell us about?
Yeah, This Was Me is a new addition to the film. It's the story of, it's the passing on of story from one generation to the other generation. It looks at Hugo, who was, back in that day, an amazing drag queen, but also that was a complex time. And it was a complex time for the LGBTQ community. They had to literally go on the streets and march to take their place in the world, to fight. It was a time that HIV was prevalent and we lost friends. And I wanted to make sure that that story was told. And the song itself by Dan Gillespie Sells and Tom McRae, that's performed by Richard E. Grant and Holly Johnson, takes me back, as many songs can do. That's the power of music. It can take you back to a place. It can take you back to a story. It can take you back to yourself. And I wanted to make sure that that story is passed on. And also there are many new songs, throughout the whole film.
Max, as Jonathan mentioned, this is tackling, the power of drag within the LGBTQ plus community. So what was it like for you getting into drag for the first time and taking on this role of Jamie?
It was really exciting. I've been a huge fan of drag and never probably maybe had the confidence or the skills to do drag like as a thing for me, but it was so exciting to do that with this film, and to be telling this story of Jamie inspired by Jamie Campbell's story, and for me just felt like a complete gift. I got to spend a lot of time with Jamie, talking to him about his life beyond the documentary, which was so great in the UK. I think it crossed over to America as well for a little bit, but for me it was just completely wonderful to get to step into a role that as a queer person isn't a coming out story, isn't the story where the queer person is the gay best friend or the funny sidekick that comes in for a few minutes, or the character that dies at the end of the film, or the character that is brutalized or traumatized. And for me, that felt like a really important story to tell, and also a really joyous story to get to tell from this perspective.
That is such a great point. And I'm moving over to you, Lauren. This film also tackles that idea that, some people peak in high school and some people, this is just the beginning of, going on their journey. So have you ever had to deal with that, and how did you bring that into this role?
She's never trying to be mean, I think, with Dean to me. She's just needs to tell him that this is going to be over and he needs to stop trying to chip away at Jamie's confidence, because it's obviously not working. But I feel like I'm sure we've all had people in our lives who need to get taken down a peg or two every now and then.
There's a number of exciting cameos in this film. Bianca Del Rio, the real-life Jamie Campbell, and of course, John McCrea, who originated the role of Jamie in the West End. Can you tell me about the importance of making sure that these people were a part of this film production?
Yeah, we're family, you know, and it felt like a continuation of many stories. John, who created the role of Jamie on stage, you know, he'd grown up, you know, in those years, and it was ready to pass the baton on, and he got passed on to Max beautifully. And I just wanted him to be, he was the right actor to play the right role, first and foremost, you know. But also having Bianca there, again, which is part of Jamie's imagination, who he thought he could possibly be, you know, just felt a natural extension of our Jamie family and bringing everybody together.
If you like this one, you can check out more of my interviews right over here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.